Welcome to Pudsey's Parent Club. I'm Dr. Julie and I'm working with BBC Children in Need to help make life lighter for children and young people across the UK. With me today are Katie Piper and Giovanna Fletcher, who are parents themselves. Together, we'll be talking about the things we can do to try and make life a little lighter for children. Now, we're all parents here, right? But I just want to kind of start with talking about all children and mental health, because there's some pretty scary figures here. 1 in 5 children in the UK are living with a mental health problem, and a child is referred to mental health services for anxiety every 3 minutes. What does that bring up for each of you as parents?
Well, it's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking, but also I feel like it's not surprising. There is so much going on that it doesn't surprise me. We have been through a period of anxiety as adults. So obviously that's fed into our children.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, this new digital world, there was lockdown. So whilst I'm like saddened by it, I'm not surprised. And maybe in a positive way, maybe we have a deeper understanding of what mental health is. And maybe in the past when things were presenting, we didn't. So I think at least that those stats and that data exists so that we can do something with it.
And I think there's a lot of work going on, isn't there, around encouraging the use of tools and teaching things that can be helpful. And that's really what we've been doing here at BBC Children in Need. So before I go any further, I'd just like to introduce Pudsey's Pause, a tool that I've helped to develop with BBC Children in Need. So the steps are really simple and children and grown-ups can do them together. The first step is pause, which means stop what you're doing and take the time to ground yourself. And then spot, which means the child takes time to spot or notice what they're currently feeling and where it's happening in their body. And lastly, number 3 is share. So this is where the child explains how they're feeling to a trusted grown-up who listens carefully and helps them to understand what's going on. So we've got those kind of 3 steps that we're trying to kind of encourage people to use, really so that children can have something simple to follow to be able to notice what they're feeling and share it with a trusted adult. But those moments, that sort of ability to stop in the moment when you're feeling something is not easy, right?
But that's the most important bit, right, is the actual stop. Because I think so often we're all busy. You know, we've all got places to go. We all have things that we need to be doing. And actually, so it feels like sometimes we're trying to push through whatever is going on. Whereas actually the pause is the most important part in all 3 of those steps, right? Because we actually need to give ourselves a breath. We need to pause. We need to see what's going on. And so often, even as adults, we don't actually have the time to do that. But actually, if we do that, we're taking the foot off the gas. You know what I mean? And actually, that is the most valuable thing I think any of us can do.
Do you have ways of doing that with your own children, or ways of kind of getting out of doing mode and just pausing to feel what's going on?
Diverting, I think, is the big thing. You know, whether that's putting on music, talking about something that's, you know, basically getting us off topic or whatever that is, so that we can then go back to it in a calmer way. What do you guys do?
We've got something new. We've just got a puppy for the family. Oh, yeah. And actually, it's been really good because it's something that's not about us or everyday life. And we come together as a shared responsibility. I definitely feel those sort of therapeutic benefits of having an animal in the home. And then we've become more outdoorsy. And that almost is our sort of pause and stop, because we're walking the dog, nothing else matters, the phones aren't there. And there's either a nice silence or we talk about things that aren't scheduled in, they just come up. So
And it's lovely having a dog in the house, isn't it? Because there's someone in the family who's not stressed about anything in normal life. They just always want your love and affection.
and just to chew everything.
Yeah.
Well, our boys have started fishing, which is a brand new hobby that neither me or Tom know anything about. But it's really interesting to us that our boys are really active. They're constantly bouncing around, climbing things on like the trampoline or the scooters, whatever. But to suddenly see them, they can sit still. They can, you know, take in nature.
Oh, that's quite mindful.
Yeah, really mindful. And it's been amazing seeing how actually there are hobbies that are out there that can actually just bring a lot of calm.
Yeah. And then conversation. And I think the step 2 on the 3 steps is about spotting how you feel. And I guess once, you know, pausing with something like fishing is great, isn't it? Because it gives you that moment and the chance to have the conversation. But actually spotting how you feel can be really difficult. Are there any ways that you I guess, talk to your own children to help them notice that what they're doing might be related to a feeling instead, are you struggling?
I think that's really important because all of our children are so different. It's been fascinating over the years, and whether that's because we're talking about things a lot more, sort of saying, I think perhaps we're feeling anxious about this, or even not labeling on them, going back after the holidays for school or whatever it is, kind of going, I feel nervous going back to work today because, I've not been there for a little while, and, sort of,
As well.
yeah, turning it back on you. But has been interesting how us implementing certain things has made, I love it when particularly one of my kids says to me, I'm feeling anxious. I don't love that they're anxious.
No, but
I love that they're able to say, I feel
yeah,
anxious.
and no shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a big thing with me. I've got 2 girls. It's not trying to demonize some emotions and allow others, because if my girls are angry, frustrated, explosive, I want it to be a safe place where they can be, because I've learned with my own mental health that all those things do have to happen and they do have to be processed and released from the body. So sometimes it's saying it's okay to be angry about that, and this is a safe place to do it. I think with my youngest, physical symptoms, things like my tummy's feeling fizzy, I feel fizzy. Whereas if with my eldest, I have to create moments, whether it's things like the dog walk or whether it's trying to get home so we eat together, and then it can be led by her.
I find dinner time really important for us. Like, we're really lucky that, as much as possible, we have dinner together as a family.
Yeah.
And over winter, actually, Tom brought in this new thing, which I absolutely loved, was we turn the lights off and we eat by candlelight.
Yeah.
So everything suddenly goes, you know what I mean? It's all about, it's so much fun. It doesn't work now in the summer, but it's brilliant to just sort of draw focus in.
I suppose one thing I've had to really check myself on is not to be dismissive. And it's as they've got older, because when they were younger, I suppose I was too much of a fixer where, well, she's either tired or she's hungry. And actually, as they're getting older, that can be a bit dismissive and patronizing, oh, you're tired. It's not always that. So I've had to really realize when I do that, and letting them know that I can't always fix them and they don't have to fix themselves either.
Yeah.
I think, Katie, what you said about we have demonized certain feelings and emotions. And I just think, how scary is it for kids when they feel anxious?
Yeah.
Suddenly for that to come out in, agitated, to feel that agitation, to feel that anger, and then that adds a shame and all these different layers. Like, that's such a scary place. And I know it can be really scary for us as adults to kind of see our kids in those states, but how scary is it for little kids to be in those places and not have the adults there who can help?
Was there anything from your own childhoods that helped you handle emotion in a healthy way?
I was badly bullied as a kid, and my way of coping with it was to walk around the school field on my own and sing and make up stories. So I actually really value thinking space and headspace, and I don't therefore worry if they need that. I think I value how important that is.
Yeah.
So it's not just us always fixing.
Yeah.
It's allowing that space. So always being that place where they can go to and talk, but also, having that sort of freedom and space and outdoors and all of that.
And I think you're right. How you respond is everything, because then you diffuse the situation and then you create calmness, But again, it's not easy parenting. And if you raise your voice, nobody is perfect, and sometimes you can use that to say to your children, I didn't cope with that very well there. I got angry because I'm overwhelmed from work. And these are all like normal scenarios in life. It's not about being the perfect parent,
And I think being able to repair when it goes wrong and to generally always try to create that safe space allows children to kind of build their confidence to open up, doesn't it? And at BBC Children Need here, we talk about this idea of everyday magic moments where the things you can do together that just help you to connect and help children build their confidence to open up. Do you have things in your families that you do that give you those sort of everyday magic moments? So it could be anything, like listening to music or cooking together or walking the dog, those kind of things that just give you those moments.
We have nice, my children have really long hair, and it's thick curly hair in like sort of tight spirals. So the hair routine is at least an hour for both, combined. So we'll get up, we'll wet it, we'll spray it, we'll put products on, brush it out, section it. And we don't always necessarily even speak. Like, it's nice. Like, it's early before school that we do it. And then other times we'll talk, or they'll read their reading books out loud, or they'll put the Alexa on and sing. And it's sort of like just that simplicity.
There is something about hair as well, isn't there?
It's really
My boys all have long hair,
Okay.
and that brushing of it is really cute. And then when they start doing it to each other,
Yeah.
you're like, this is so cute.
And for me, actually, I noticed, because it takes my concentration, I'm only thinking about that. And then if they talk to me, there's no other distractions for me. It's nice.
And what do you think are the kind of the benefits of your children in those moments feeling able to just talk about what's happening for them?
I think it's so important. It's so important to just be and have your parents just there and available.
And those kind of things, like, as a part of the ingredients of a positive relationship, aren't they? Having that safe space, being respected by someone else, and having boundaries and things like that. What are your thoughts around kind of setting boundaries with your children and then teaching them to do the same with other people?
I think boundaries can make everyone feel safe.
Yeah.
And I think boundaries are a beautiful thing. And if you know, basically, I learned years ago the whole thing of, picking your battles. And I think that is the same with kids. It's that thing of what are the big things that you need a boundary in place for, and where is there compromise? Because I think compromises are just as important with kids as well, and within a family.
I agree with you. I think boundaries are really important, and there can be too much focus, especially for young girls, on being polite and being appeasing and fitting in, and then you can be a real pushover and be too apologetic. So I think those boundaries are really healthy.
What do you think grown-ups can do to help children learn about sort of respect as well? I guess it's related to the boundaries, isn't it? This idea of showing other people respect, but also expecting it in return.
Surely the biggest way to show our children what respect is by practicing it. And that's not even just with your child, that's with other people that you meet. That's a community thing. And actually, I think respect is the easiest thing to show our children.
Yeah.
So if you're a respectful person, whether it's the postman, a woman that you see at the street, the checkout, but whoever it is that you're meeting, there are multiple times throughout the day where you can actually model that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing, isn't it, with the 3 steps? When a child is brave enough to share how they're feeling in whatever words or ways they want to use, respecting what that is. And like you say, that tendency is to dismiss it, isn't it? And so, especially if we're in a rush, or we think it's something else, or we think it's something small to us, that actually being able to kind of respect whatever they bring helps to create that safe space for children.
Even if, my youngest now, she's only 7, and it's like, can you knock on the door before you come in? And really, you're like, no, because and you think, no, I've got to give her that space.
Yeah.
And then she likes that. And then, like you said, it's reciprocated. And I just think it's important, like, for them to feel valid, and that their privacy is important, and that you'll keep their secrets, and that they are their own, although we're a family, they have their own identity.
And I guess we're all very lucky in that we have sort of solid foundations for our children and safe homes. And I think there are a lot of children in this country that are not living in that kind of situation. And perhaps the grown-ups that they're looking to share their feelings with might be teachers or social workers or care workers and different professionals. Given that, with the work that we're doing with Children in Need about, encouraging this sharing, how important do you think that is for those children to be able to have someone?
Community is everything, and I've even been thinking about not even us, but the other adults in our lives that we introduce our children to, our friends, the uncles, the aunts, every adult that can have an impact on your child. And I think that's an amazing thing. So often we hear of incredible people who've done amazing things, but they'll credit a teacher. They'll credit some other adult outside of their family unit that just gave a little bit of confidence or a little bit of something that just made them go, I can do this, that sense of belief. So I think the community aspect of raising kids is absolutely key.
I think you're right. I think there's something more valuable than someone who's not mum and dad
Yeah.
believing in you, investing time in you. That's why I think hobbies and clubs and things are so important. Or like you said, groups, community, being part of something outside your family is so valuable. And sometimes if I think about my own childhood, when I did things or received that praise from people like that, it almost meant more because it felt even more real because they didn't have to give it, they chose to give it.
They're not biased.
Yeah, that's true. It's really true. And that can be the same as an adult. If you're looking for like external validation or affirmation, when you work hard and it comes from an outside source, it can almost be more affirming.
It's really special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for talking so openly today. It's been really valuable, and it's so clear that it's really important to be all ears for the children in your life and to try and support their mental healthiness as they grow. If you want to learn more about the ways to do this, you can take a look at the video guide to Pudsey's Pause, or check out other helpful mental health tips and resources by visiting the BBC Children in Need website. Grown-ups, let's work together to help make life lighter for children.